playing the wrong tune in the wrong key. Gig nightmares for you and me. Song changed keys and I wasn't ready. Gig nightmares for you and me. Another key change, oh God, oh no. Gig nightmares for you and me. I think it would be a good idea to preface the episode saying there's probably going to be a lot of swear words and profanity. So I'd like to start off saying, John DeLowery, you handsome bastard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the basement.
The basement. How many bases are on the wall here?
Well, right now I have finished bases, maybe about 12, but I have about 23 or 24 in total, plus a couple guitar projects in play. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's if I see something I like, I buy it. COVID was good to me. A lot of people weren't playing, so they needed money. So I took advantage of them on that.
Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
I think I started off COVID because I was living in Philly because I was in my second year of college. And my apartment ended up getting robbed while COVID happened and they sent all the college kids home. My apartment in Philly got robbed and I lost 2 or 3 of my guitars. So to make up for that, there's like 3 things that make up account for the number of guitars I have now. But the 3 things. Having the guitars getting stolen, I'm thinking, well, I got to get back, a few more guitars, buy a few more. And then it just kept going and going. And like my mindset was, well, you bastards can't get them all. So then that happened. What's his name? Over in Wilburton with the guitar store.
That'd be John Donovan.
Yeah. He told me, I was in there one time. I think at that point I had 19 guitars and he just looks at me and says, you're not even in the game yet.
Right.
I guess that got to me. And then during COVID, one of my favorite guitar players, Michelangelo Bettie, he was doing a lot of like the live streams and whatever, just like shredding and giving lessons or whatever. He would say, all right, I've got 149 guitars. And then 3 months later, all right, I've got 172 guitars.
Yep.
And me being 19 or 20 at the time, I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Now actually find the space for that. At least you've got the basement here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's very fortunate to have the space. I once again in the honor of not mentioning or dropping names, there's a community on Facebook that the guy who started it, he has over 20,000 members, but I think he's up to like 318 bases right now.
It's amazing.
And he's got quite the collection. So a lot of cool stuff. And he has, I think, 2 different places, which he calls we won't say the name, but headquarters 1 and headquarters 2. And they're just, you go in his basement and there's racks that hang from the ceiling and all the bases just hang off of these racks. And he'll do like a reveal when he gets a new bass. He'll do a live video stream and it's pretty cool, but I'm nowhere near there, but I'm very fortunate to be able to collect some stuff and grab some stuff and also build some stuff. I like crafting together Frankenstein stuff. I attribute that almost to like being a surfer. A surfer builds his own surfboard.
Sure.
Build your own bass.
All right. So I think I originally asked you to be on the show when we were at the, it was a few weeks ago, we were at the celebration of life for Tim Eckert, one of my best friends, my former singer and everything like that. Now we were getting to hear a lot of great stories then. So I wrote some of these down just to make sure we didn't forget them.
Just to remind me about them.
So here's a good, strong one. So you were a sound guy. You were about 5 years sober.
Oh,
and this band...
now what I'll do is I'll retract my name dropping thing because the place is closed.
Okay.
So if the place is closed, I'll drop who it is and where the place was. There was a place in Frackville, Pennsylvania called Paparazzi. And it was owned by a gentleman named Beep Beep. And at the time I was married to the second wife. She was more of like the religious type. So I kind of fell into that as well. So at that time I wasn't drinking. I was trying to live the straight and narrow, but this guy had an in-house PA and he would have a lot of the local bands would go there. Like I know like Cool Daddy Groove played there a lot. I think Psycho Bettie played there once or twice. I was also in a band called Yada 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 that played there. But before I was in there actually playing, I did sound. I ran an in-house. And 5 years sober, and there was one band that rolled in, and
Is this band still together?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to say it was Bad Hair Day, they were called.
All right.
I've only ever seen them once or twice. Really good, 80s rock band. And their singer, at the beginning of the night, they're all loading it and everything. I'm getting the PA prepped up and, just asking questions about what the band needs and everything. And the singer comes up to me and he goes, well, I have an in-ear system. And, going back 15, 20 years ago, in-ears were like a new thing. Everybody, nobody really had a lot of them. And I'm like, yeah, I can hook that in. I said, all you need is a line going to your rack. He goes, yeah, exactly. So, all right, great. In-ear monitors. We both know, being musicians, what's the point of in-ear monitors?
Well, hearing yourself, not losing your hearing.
Right. And not just that though, but it blocks everything else out on stage.
Sure.
Like it's almost like you're wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
So, so the guys get set up, they do sound check. Everybody's happy with everything. And so they start the performance. And 20 minutes in, guy's like pointing at his head and going like this, raising his finger up. No, that's right. We're a podcast. I can't make hand motions. He's hand motioning, pointing his finger up in the air to turn up the monitors. So I'm like, he's got in-ears in. I got to be careful. I'll blow his hearing out. So I'm just inching it up. So first break rolls around and he comes up to the soundboard and he's like, I can't hear my monitor. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, my monitor in front of me, I can't hear it. I'm like, you have in-ears in. He's like, no. Sometimes sound guys don't run the floor monitor and I'll be able to hear from the floor monitor. I'm like, but you have both of your in-ears in.
Yes.
Like I've seen guys already, well, they'll roll with one in and then they have the other ear open just to be able to hear residual noise. But he's like, no, I keep both of them in and they just make the monitor loud enough that I can, hear it. And I'm like,
what's the point of that?
That's exactly. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's kind of redundant. Hey, you want to correct me on this? I don't care. Like I said, I was never a professional sound guy, but I think I'm smart enough to figure out that this is one thing, this is another.
It's like, I've done shows like the theater shows where I'll have my in-ears and like they'll still be the floor monitor, but I really just have the floor monitor there as a backup in case my in-ears were to die out in like the middle of the song.
Exactly.
I can just say, hey, can you turn that up?
Right.
Have the same mix and everything.
Right. Or if someone else in the band doesn't have in-ears, they're going to benefit from maybe that monitor running.
Sure.
But once again, if it's just strictly for vocals, you're having those in-ears in is just you're bumping fists together, bumping heads together. So, all right. Anyway, second set starts up. They're like the same thing, pointing at the monitor, pointing in the air, turn it up. I'm like, motherfucker. Now I'm starting to get stressed out because like these guys are just being dicks. They're like, they're you can tell they're not having a good time on stage because the singer's all pissed. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So end of the second set, fucking guitar player comes over. Now this guy, he reminds me of, we were just talking about the Steel Dragon and the Rockstar. He looked like the guitar player from Steel Dragon. He had the curly black hair. I can't remember his name. I'm sure people listening, if they know who Bad Hair Day is, they'll know who it is. I didn't give a fuck. Okay. So this guy comes up to me. He's like, look, motherfucker, you fucking suck. And you're the worst sounding I have ever fucking heard. And my singer can't hear himself. And I'm like, motherfucker, he's got in-ears in. How can he not hear himself? And just long story short, he just berated me the whole time. And so when right before they went back on, he came back over to the soundboard and he's like, all right, you better get that monitor straightened out. And I'm like, buddy, fuck you. Mr. Burns will be doing sound for you for the rest of the night. You can go fuck yourself. And I walked right to the bar. Line them up. 15 shots of Jack Daniels right down in a row. I'm like, fuck this guy. So I'm sitting there. The guy's running the sound. Still same problem. They're still bitching at him about what's going on. I'm destroyed at the bar. And I think I don't even know if I touched on this one or not. I think I threw something at them when I was walking out. I might have thrown a microphone at him or something. But I was like, yeah, 4 or 5 years sober out the door because these guys just stretched me out that bad. To top it off, on the ride home, a buddy of mine was there. He's like, yo, you can't drive. I'll take you home. I'm like, all right. He literally kicked me out of his car onto the lawn, the front lawn of my house, because he wanted to deal with my wife at the time. Oh. So literally I woke up in the morning on my lawn.
Did you ever see any of those guys?
No, fuck those guys. I hope I don't.
I've heard that band name before, but I can't tell you who was in there or anything like that.
Yeah,
what was that, 20?
Once again, probably 15, 20 years ago, maybe not even that long, but just in general, like they were popular in the area. They played a lot. They might have been agency. I don't really know. But yeah, all I know is that they were like really complete assholes and not willing to listen to reason, or, you know, I know these guys eventually, you know, have to have your way, but don't have to be rude about it.
Sure. And even like you're not their usual full-time sound guy. So
Right.
like, if this is just someone you're meeting for the first time, yeah, even if it's not going to, because like, yeah, I've done shows where like we're not working with our regular sound guy. So like you work around and, oh, you don't have a wireless mic, that's fine. We'll use a wire, you know, etc.
Yep.
You be reasonable. You
and if anybody who knows me that I'm very cordial. I'm very nice. I try not to be a dick. You know, if I'm there to do a job for you, I'm going to do the job. So what do I need to do? So I think that's what really just pushed me over the edge was, you know, here I am trying to give you the best sound you can possibly have. And don't get me wrong, it sounded incredible. I'm just going to throw that out there. The band was on. I mean, what was coming out of the front of the house and into the room was good. I mean, they played, you know, Fallen Angel by Poison. It sounded like Fallen Angel by Poison.
Yeah.
You know, so they were that good of a band. But just the attitude and the mechanics of running a monitor and in-ears at the same time, just to me was asinine and ridiculous. And once again, I could be wrong. You know, correct me in the comments if you have that section. I'll argue with anybody all day long. But yeah, that was a treat.
So this is a more recent one, you know, bringing up playing with the Jeremy Edge project out in where was it, Williamsport. Are you allowed to mention that place?
Oh yeah, well,
see, that's the hard part of the show.
That's the hard part of the show is not really coming, because, like, you know, there's still opportunity there. There's still, you know, people know people, and you got to be careful with how you talk. But the premise of the whole thing was, once again, won't mention names, won't mention clubs or anything like that, but the establishment that booked us booked a live band. I mean, 3-piece live band, and we're 3-piece. We're not really, you know, that loud in my opinion. But it was more of a, let's put it this way, it's more of a restaurant setting. And, you know, we were setting up and everything, like right out of the gate, you know, just guys, make sure you're not too loud. Okay, we can do that. We're going to watch our dynamics on stage. And, you know, yeah, I have a tendency of getting a little loud on the bass and Edge, of course, obviously with guitar tone. You want that tone, you got to be a little louder, but we were set to do what we got to do to make sure that we're quiet for these people. You know, Ray played with rods, the like the sticks. They're like almost like brushes, but you know, really, really like pulled in the dynamics that night. And I'm just like, oh, I've just been doing this too long. I know this is going to just be a bad deal. I know it's going to go south. And we've witnessed, I'm not going to say the bands either, but I've witnessed bands at this place, and we were definitely quieter than this other band. So that's what my comparison was to in my head. And once again, always comes back to kind of like how I am as a musician. I always worked with a handshake deal. I've always worked. I've never did a contract. I've never been one of those guys to, like, you know, if you give me your word or you make an agreement, that's what it is. I'm not going to press the issue unless it needs to be pressed. That's the whole premise of these stories. But, you know, first song in and we're playing, and band sounds great. We're actually, in my opinion, very reasonable volume wise. And you can always see, you can already see the staff. They're kind of like, pointing their finger downward. I'm doing that now. I'm pointing my finger down. Turn down a little bit. Okay, fine. There's one. So, we're continuing on. Okay, great. We go into our next song. Halfway through the second song, got to turn down more. Got to turn down more. Okay, so we finish the second song. We turn down a little more. Third song rolls around. They're like, you guys, you're just going to be too loud. And I'm like, all right, here we go. So I believe it was someone approached Edge about, just might as well shut it down. And this whole time, in between songs, I'm like, I swear to God, if they try and cut us money, I'm going to lose my shit. Because Ray lives in York. He travels at least an hour to come to Williamsport to play. I don't mind traveling. I'll travel 5 hours to play a 2-hour gig. I don't care. Edge is from the area, so he wasn't too there. But to me, it was always just the point of, these places hire these bands or any of these groups, or even you could be an acoustic act or anything. And there's always that possibility that you're going to get screwed at the end of the night. You're going to get the deep dicking from some club owner or some establishment owner. And I was pretty adamant that night. And I've gotten calm in my old age, but I'm like, these guys are giving us our full pay tonight because we traveled, we came out. We actually had people showing up to see us play.
My mom and our friend Chip, they drove like the 2 hours.
Right. Your mom was right. They drove 2 hours to come see us play. And I'm like, I'm standing there. I'm like, dude, we got people showing up that want to see us. And I guess, I don't know, it must have been the old granny in the corner having pizza with her grandkids that got offended because of the loud noise or something. Maybe she complained. I'm not sure. I might have given away a little bit there. I said pizza. But anyway, this whole time I'm like, we better get our full pay. We better get our full pay. And I'm kind of loud about it. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm just saying, that check better have the full number on it or that wine rack's going to look really good in the back of my truck. And just along those lines of I'll make sure we get paid at the end of the night because that was, you'll hear some more stories, but it was always end up being pay. It always ended up being pay. And, they actually honored their agreement. They honored their contract. And that was one of the things I at the end of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it kind of sucked that we had to get shut down, but at least they honored their part. And
but no wine rack for you.
No wine rack. No, it would have been nice. It would have been a little tight, but I would have made it fit. But that would lead me on to the next story.
Yep.
I'm sure you have it keyed up, but I'll always mention the town. This was in Hazleton. Mm-hmm. Probably, I'm going to say this is around 98 or 99. I was playing in a group from Pottsville called Cool Daddy Groove. Wasn't my band. I didn't start it. I auditioned to play with these guys. That was Chris Kurtz from Pop-Tart Monkeys, Donnie France. Chris was in Pop-Tart Monkeys after Cool Daddy Groove, but they were a pretty popular band from the Pottsville area, and I hopped in. And long story short, through the relationships and through the years we were playing, I ended up taking over booking for the band. And we wanted to expand north. We were going into Wilkes-Barre, stuff like that. Hopped on with Pegasus Productions at the time, which is Bob Krepich. Name drop. But either way, we're working. We're like booking shows, trying to expand north. Hazleton was just one of those steps closer to Wilkes-Barre in my mind anyway. But there was a club on, what was the name? I'm going to look up at a map real quick. The club was called Cousins. And it was Cousins. And I think there was a club upstairs called Big Daddy's. Yep. It was kind of like a dual place. Like if you wanted to see live bands or live music, you would go upstairs. But if you were there for the DJ, you stayed downstairs, and they had a full bar downstairs. They had a full bar upstairs. Wasn't Church Street. It might have been, Alter Street, not that shithole.
It's so difficult for me to imagine like a multi-scale nightclub in Hazleton.
Nowadays. Well, it was, the layout, I think it was like an old warehouse or something, and they just converted it into a restaurant. I've eaten there. It was really good. I think it was on Wyoming. I think it was Wyoming Avenue.
Again, just impossible for me to picture that nowadays.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, are there any clubs there anymore? I remember there's like isn't there like a cigar bar or something, or is that?
No. Cigar bar was Harrisburg, and then there's another cigar bar in Bloomsburg. That was like a chain. They had a couple of different ones, I believe. I could be wrong. It's happened in the past. But this place was, like I said, they converted into a restaurant and club. I don't even remember the guy's name because I forgot it really, really quick. But might hear that on the microphone. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, we booked a show. We go to play the show. And the way to load into this place for upstairs was on Wyoming was the front of the building, and it was really tall. It was 2 stories. But behind it was a hill. So like if you went up the alley and then behind the building, it leveled out with the second level. So that's where you would unload all your gear. There was a dock right there. Yeah. So the sound guy we had at the time, Mike Boyer, he had a cube van and stuff like that. So he would just back the truck right up to the dock, boom, right there. So he'd bring in the PA and everything. He'd load up. We'd bring all of our personal gear in and set up. And once again, handshake agreement. I think it was like $1,000 or something like that for the night. Just, okay, book the show, book the kid, go $1,000 drinks for the guys if they want to drink a meal. I always try and get food and drink in the deal. Sure. And so I'll have to tell you a side story about this place too. There was a band that played the night before us
Yep, I know who.
On a Friday.
Yep,
It was Strangers with Candy, who actually ended up turning out to be Breaking Benjamin. So they were there on a Friday night. We were there on a Saturday night. It was pretty
Strangers
cool.
with Candy. What a terrible band.
Well, not now. It's definitely not PC now. You know, back in the day, it was kind of cool.
That's awful.
I think there was 2 members of Strangers with Candy, and then the 2 other guys. I think it was once again, it was Aaron, the guitar player, and Ben, I think, were in the other band. But then Strangers with Candy was Hummel, the drummer, and Mark, the bass player. I can't remember his last name, but anyway, so we're once again playing our show. Decent crowd. When you would come into the club, if you went upstairs to see the band, they would charge you the cover, which I think at the time was like $5. So if you go upstairs, they charge you cover. But if you didn't go upstairs and just stayed downstairs, they wouldn't charge the cover. So there could be 200 people upstairs, 400 people downstairs. Nobody's paying downstairs because they didn't go up those set of steps to see the band.
Yeah.
But you can still hear the band downstairs over the DJ. Either way, not my setup. So end of the night rolls around. We had a great night. Like I said, 200-300 people in the place. So do the math, 200 to 300 people, $5 a head, $1,000, $1,500. They covered their guarantee for the band. So the office was all the way in the back. Like if you stood on the stage and you could look down the room, the bar was on the left, the stairs were on the right, and the office was straight back through the door in the very, very, which would be the front of the building. Just knock on the door. I can't remember the guy's names. You can come on in. And I said, yeah, we're done. We're getting ready to pack up and everything. Just wanted to come and make sure everything was cool. You had a good night. He goes, yeah, no, man, these guys sounded really good. Had a good night and everything. We sold a lot of liquor and stuff like that. And he hands me the envelope. And I always count it before I leave.
Yeah.
And I open it up and there's like $600 in there.
Instead of the $1,000. And I'm like, we agreed on $1,000. And he's like, yeah, we didn't really have as many people upstairs as we did downstairs. And I'm like, no, that doesn't matter. You guaranteed me $1,000 no matter what. I said, if you had people coming up or down or not, I know for a fact we had 200 or 300 people up here. I always do a scan of the crowd. I always try and do I just counted 10 people here. So now I can take that 10 people and make a little square. And I'm just going to go do. And I'm going to fill the room and count by tens how many people are in the room. So anyway, long story short, I get to the 3rd time of asking them for the money. And I'm a guy of 3s. Like, I'm going to ask you nice. I'm going to ask you nice again. That fucking 3rd time is going to fucking set me off. Like, I'm just going to lose my shit. And at that point, it's almost like disrespect. So I'm like, okay, fine. $600. Thank you. Close the door. Start walking up to the guys. Start handing out money to everybody. Always paid Stewie first. This is his nickname, by the way, because Mike Boyer looks like Stewie from Beavis and Butthead. Stewart, we should say, the guy who wore the winger shirt all the time. Spitting image of him just in real life. And so I always made sure everybody got paid first. And there was only ever like once or twice I might have shorted Stewie, but I always made it up on the next gig. And the guys are like, well, what do we get? And I said, he only gave us the 6. And he's like, well, you booked it for $1,000. I'm like, I know. And fucking Mike Boyer, what are you going to do about it? Oh, you had to set me off, didn't you? So I'm like, all right. So I start looking around the club and I'm like, yep, I like that mirror right over there. And I kind of like that neon sign right there. So those things came off the wall. Mike's like, nope, don't forget about the liquor behind the bar. So he goes and grabs a bottle of Jack Daniels. And we start loading up his truck. I mean, we have the PA in there, all our gears in there. We're just throwing all the shit in there. And I'm admitting the theft, by the way. So I don't know how we're going to This is 20 plus.
I guess I know. I get
still around.
statute of limitations might have ran out, but yeah, I definitely look. If I'm getting paid at the end of the night, no matter what, whether I'm taking your shit or you actually do your deal, I'm taking it. So the prize possession of this whole thing was the entrance to their kitchen somehow went through the floor. It was almost like a trapdoor in the back by the dock, and they had their ice machine right there. I'm like, we need to fucking take that ice machine. So we fucking wheeled the ice machine onto his truck. And I'm more than positive it might still be churning ice out to this day in his basement because it was the good ice too. It was the crumble ice.
Yeah.
So we scored there. But then once all said and done, everything packed up, guys were out. Like, guys, I'll see you later. Like, what are you doing? I'll be right back. roll up to the front of the place, kick the fucking door in, almost off the hinges, fucking flew open like in the movies. And I said, all right, motherfucker, cancel the rest of my dates. You're a piece of shit. And don't worry, I'm okay. And I turned around and walked out because I got mine. I got my pound of flesh. So once, you know, obviously we never played there again. And I wouldn't give anybody the recommendation of playing there. I've heard stories of other bands playing there and getting screwed kind of the same way, you know, which it is really, it blows my mind how, you know, these club owners, they want to build a relationship with you and do that, but then they kind of try and screw you at the end of the night because they had a bad night. Well, no, it's like, you know, I always felt it was a 50-50 relationship. I always see a lot of bands online. They'll be like, well, it's the club's responsibility to advertise, or it's the club's responsibility to have people there, or it's, you know, on the flip of the coin, it's, you know, the band's responsibility to bring people and do what you can do to promote yourself. And you know, me, it was always, well, it's got to be a 50-50 effort because that's compromise, you know? Okay, yeah, you're a popular club. You're going to have people there. I'm going to bring some of my people with, but once again, you're traveling out of the area. You know, if you're in an agency or you're trying to, like, agencies are definitely different. You guys play built-in crowd places all the time, and you're the entertainment. So you get hired to provide entertainment. There's probably never a problem getting paid at the end of the night because you're either going through the agency or you have a representative in your band that's getting paid at the end of the night and either returning those funds back to the agency, or that's how we used to do. We used to have to do our own books. Like we'd mark down how many people were there, you know, what was the cover charge? What was your total at the end of the night? What were your expenses? You know, cover your sound, cover your gas, cover whatever, and this is what you made. So it was always kind of like, why would a club owner want to screw a band over, especially a good band that might come back, you know, or might build a better relationship where the next time you come back, you might have 100 more people than you had the time before. Just always pissed me off. I just couldn't handle it.
I think you were telling me about a story. You were playing in Hazleton, another place. I think the band was called Those Guys.
Oh, holy shit. Yes, that was at the, matter of fact, it was the Road's End. It was right on Diamond and Broad and Diamond. That's why they called it, I believe it was called the Road's End because at the end of 924, it was the Road's End. Yeah. It was the end of the road. So Jimmy Chrisman, great guy. I actually love Jimmy, and the one mistake I ever made in my whole career was with that guy. And I never made it again. I don't think he'll mind me mentioning him or anything like that, but there was another guy there, the bartender, his name was Greg Fink. We used to play this club, and once again, it was kind of a band that was based in Hazleton, because I was always more like, you know, I played in Pottsville a little bit. I played, you know, I was in the Shenandoah area like that, travel around a little bit, but until I got older and started getting more experience is when I started creeping out of the area. But I didn't know anybody from the Hazleton area. So I started meeting a lot of the people I know today from the Hazleton area through that band. And, you know, the two players in that band, phenomenal players. It was a really good band. I enjoyed playing it. But back to the story. It's not a bad story, but it's kind of a funny story where, matter of fact, it's this bass right here. I have it's a 1968 Gibson EBO slot head, one of my first basses that I restored. And matter of fact, it's that pickup that's in it. It's a Guild Bisonic pickup. So we always played the Road's End, and one of the things about Jimmy, he loved music. He would book bands from out of the area. He was famous and well known for bringing in blues acts from New York City on a Wednesday night to play. Had a lot of famous guys come in and roll through that place. So he was just a lover of music altogether. And so we get in the bar and we set up in our area, which was, matter of fact, in front of the men's room, if I'm not mistaken, in that corner, because a lot of people would set up in the DJ booth, but we always set up over in front because it just seemed a little bit more conducive to the room. And at the time, I had this little combo amp. It was a little Ampeg SVR, it was called, where it had two 12-inch speakers in it, but one of them faced out the back towards the wall, so it would bounce the bass off the wall and then shoot it forward. We had just learned Money by Pink Floyd, and I'm like, I can't wait to play this. So I had the EBO with me into this little combo amp, SVT head inside of it, and the bass was just boom, boom, It's just like it sounded like the album. It was just like punchy and low and loud, and we all kick in. Like obviously it starts with the bass line, but once everybody kicks in, it's just you start digging in a little bit more. You're getting into it. Next thing I know, I hear 2 crashes behind me, and I turn around to look, and I literally rattled like 2 or 3 mirrors off the wall, and they smashed on the floor. And I was like, and I looked up at the bar, and all I saw were everybody's waving, keep going, don't stop. I was like, no, but I broke your mirrors. And they're like, no, don't stop, keep going. So it was just like they appreciated the fact that it sounded so good.
That's just legendary.
It is. Like I broke some mirrors in the Road's End. I don't even know if Jimmy knows about that, but Greg was like, don't worry about it, because he would throw ice at me all the time, dick. I'd throw coins back at him that were in the urinal in the back.
Yeah.
But oh, it's famous, world famous. Maybe it is famous, maybe not famous. If you would go into the men's room, there was a homemade stainless steel urinal in there. And there was this machine mounted to the top of it, and it was called the urinator.
Huh?
Based off see, this is where it comes out. Based off, it was the Terminator.
Oh.
Okay, so the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So this box that was mounted on the urinal was called the urinator, and you would put a quarter in it or 50 cents, and what the whole premise of it was you would piss into this box, and it would measure how much you pissed, like a quart, a gallon, whatever. But the great thing about this thing is it would talk to you as you were pissing into it. It'd go, keep pissing. And it would sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go on, you're going to feel the barrel. Keep going. Don't stop. So it was nuts. And everybody always talked about it. It was there. I did it all the time. But what I used to do as kind of like a little joke, I would throw coins in the machine. Like it was like 35 cents or 36 cents, whatever, like a quarter, a dime, and a penny or something like that. And it would be okay, if there's any guys that go in the back and piss into the urinator, if you bring me the change out of the urinator, I'll buy you a drink. But I'll know if you got all of it, because I knew how much I put in there. It'd be like a quarter, a dime, and a penny,
Yeah.
So bring me 36 cents and you'll get a drink. But you had to pick it out of the urinator. But literally this thing, it talked to you. Like you would put the money in and it would go, start pissing. You would piss into the screen. Keep going, keep going. You're going to feel the barrel. And it would show you on the front of the box how much you pissed. So one of the things I always did was always tried to hold out so I can like really rock that thing. But I never did.
I wonder who has the high score.
I don't know. Fink would probably know, or somebody from there. Maybe Jimmy would know. But yeah, that was one of the things there that always stuck out to, was just great club, great bartenders. The female bartenders, male bar. Like I said, Greg Fink was the male guy. Trish Hill, I think, was one of the other female ones. And I can't remember her name. She lives in Florida now. I'm gonna look it up now on Facebook. She's gonna kill me if she hears this, because I don't remember her. But always great people. And like I said, Jimmy just loved music, and he always treated you well at the end of the night. Our deal there was always $300 flat rate. It was always like, it's that thing. Like, it seems to be the stigmata now. It's $100 a guy. If you're in a band and you play out, you get $100 a guy.
Sure.
On normal small clubs or whatnot. If you get more than that, then great. But at that time, you got to remember, now this is even back. This is like 2004 or 5, maybe. I don't know. But either way, $300 for a night of playing music was actually a pretty good deal. And what was great about playing the Road's End, one of the reasons why we liked playing it, was because if you had a good night, if you had a lot of people in the bar, everybody was drinking, having a good time, Jimmy would tip you at the end of the night. He'd give you extra. Like, oh, okay, here's $450 instead of $300, or whatever he tipped you. It was a bonus. And then he fed you. He gave you food and beer. He made sure you're taken care of. So that level of respect was always the retrospect of bumping into shitty club owners. Is there was shitty club owners, and then there was guys like compared to Jim Christman all the time, because he was just, he was top dog in my opinion. I'll follow back onto the mistake that I made in my career with this guy, and I only ever made it once, was playing in a band called Yada Yada Yada. I'll throw it out there all day long. We used to play the Rhodes End a lot because of my relationship with Jimmy from playing in those guys. He knew I was a stand-up guy and would honor dates and stuff and yada yada. And funny. And what it rolled back to was the guys in the band. We had an opportunity to play with CC DeVille at Goodfellas in Pottsville. And they're like, CC is going to come and guest bartend it there. We should play there. And that's like, the date they picked, I think, was actually my birthday. I think it was like March 30th or something like that. And I'm like, guys, we're booked already. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, we're booked at the Rhodes End. And they're like, oh, well, just tell them you double booked or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it at first, but then I was coaxed into it, and I felt really shitty doing it. And I think I told Jimmy that I double booked it, and he saw through the bullshit. He fucking knew that I was picking another gig over him. And I'll be honest with you, it was the last time I played at the Rhodes End. Yep. Because it was good luck with your career and have a good future. And it hurt a little bit, but
that sucks.
Yeah, but it was a lesson learned. I never, ever, no matter what band I might have been involved in, whether it be dates or I might have done it one more time to Edge. That's another story. But that involves women. So that's a whole other podcast. We're talking kind of money and deals right now, but don't do that. But yeah, I always promised myself from that day forward, I would never, ever do that again. And it's because of that. And I honestly think I hurt the guy. I really do. And I'll take this time to apologize, Jim.
I was going to ask you, like, if you've ever had any situations with like double booking, like how to go about that. Like I'm only 25 now. I haven't encountered that a whole bunch of times. But like one only really memorable time, like when I was playing with Living the Dream, I think it was about 3 years ago. We were playing at a club in Lansford, which obviously they're
not there anymore either. I think I know what you're talking about. Great place though.
Yeah.
Because I've played there even before it was that. I played like. Well, I don't know if you can mention it if you want to mention it, but I've played there with a couple different bands. But yeah, and I apologize. Go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, it's like we were booked there because like we were playing there maybe every 2-3 months or whatever. And we usually had a pretty good turnout compared to like, I mean, some bands would come in there and like they would pretty much bring their family and that'd be it. But like just because of like, I don't know, maybe they just like the music we played, but like it would always be like, pretty packed when we got in there. But there was a show in March of 2021. We had the opportunity for open up for kind of a national act down in Northampton.
Okay.
So we figured, okay, yeah, obviously we want to be doing like the bigger sort of gig. It's like it's okay because like we have a great relationship with the club owner. He'll understand. Oh no, he was pissed.
Yeah. Well, and once again, it rolls down to. The lesson learned is, and I'll pass it on to you, is, and I might even have mentioned this to you in the past, is if you book it, it's solid. It goes back to the handshake. It goes back to keeping your word. Because to me, like, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of things. I'm fortunate to have what I have, but the only thing I ever really had that I really try and upkeep and be 100% with is my integrity. And the integrity is very important, especially in this industry, on a local level, on a national level, on whatever you want to approach it at, is if you book the show, you honor the date.
Sure.
And yeah, it might suck that you could have played that show, but if you do it and you do the dark deal and you flip it around, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Well, so at least like when you're directly dealing with the venue, I can see how that's the case. But at least like, so I've been playing with the 80s Revolution for about a year and a half. So we have our booking agent who's like dealing with all the venues and whatever. So like I'm just seeing on our shared Google Calendar or whatever, just seeing, okay, we're playing at this place. Okay, and then it's the next week. Okay, instead of playing here, we're playing at this bigger thing here. It's like I have no idea like what that looks like in terms of like the relationship with the club owners.
Well,
but we're still playing there.
But that goes back to the agency and the club, and there's always going to be that continuity between them that they make agreements on. Because once again, I told you before you hopped in with the agency you did, is they will manipulate you to what they need. You could be a great band, you could be a great musician, you could be a great guy, but they're providing a service.
Sure.
They're providing entertainment for a club. Like we'll just throw out a club name that everybody loves, is Secrets. Okay. You play secrets, you're going to have a crowd.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there for secrets. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There are some bands that bring people, or they find out that, hey, you're going to be playing there that date. We're going to plan our vacation around that.
Yeah.
They'll do it. But end of the day, you're working for an agency who's providing a service to a client, and they have that relationship. So they can call up and say, hey, by the way, I know I have 80s Revolution booked this weekend, but I just had an opening over here that I'd like to present to them to there, or whatever the situation is. Would you mind if I shuffle you around, that I'll give you these guys, or maybe you can bring someone in, and then they'll make that agreement.
Sure.
Because if they weren't okay with it, it wouldn't happen, or it wouldn't continue to be a business deal.
So at least so far in my limited experience, I haven't had any really like nasty experiences working with booking agencies. Have you had any sort of experiences you would want to talk about?
I wouldn't say nasty experiences, but a couple of them were, I'm not even sure, maybe I have notes on the one or not, but I'll bring one up. When I was in Cool Daddy Groove, and I was with the guys that were in that, beep these out, by the way, too, because either way, I just have to keep talking about it. But we were signed, like I said previously, we were in with Pegasus Productions, which is Bob Krepich, and this guy he's been the monster in the area for years. I mean, I'd put him up against like John Harris from Harrisburg, and any guys from down at the shore, because he knew how to promote, he knew how to get shit done. One of the things was, once again, going back to when you do business at the end of the night, when you get paid, obviously you got to pay your agent. Now, we had just signed with him, and we were still writing and playing on jobs that I booked. Okay. Like, I went out and did the work and did everything, but it's, okay, you're signed with me now. No matter what show you play, I get 10%. Okay, great. I'm okay with that. Some people in the band weren't. They wanted me to fudge numbers. They wanted me to, don't tell them we had 100 people, tell them we had 40 people. And then we don't have to pay them as much. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And I think that might have kind of bit me in the ass with certain people, not with Bob, because Bob got paid.
Yeah.
I kept the spreadsheet. This is when we had spreadsheets back in the day, by the way. I'd go home and sit on my computer and put everything in the spreadsheet and fire it off. Man, I went as far as printing out the checks. I'd put them in my printer instead of fucking filling them out. But overall, though, if the agencies are, from my experience, are once again providing a service, and 98% of the time you will be a cover band. You'll be either a cover band or a tribute band, because that's what's marketable. That's what's easy to sell. That's what people expect. That's why they always say, if you're an original band, you work twice as hard, because yes, you do, because some people just might not like your music, or some people might not like your look, or some people might not want to travel. They want to go out and party and dance, and your music might not be part of your dance music.
Sure.
So you're very fortunate to be in what you're in, because you're in a band now that is marketable because of the style of music it is. You're also doing the look. So you're playing the part, you're dressing up, you're doing what it is. So that's marketable. Shouldn't have a problem getting paid at the end of the night, because you're going there, you're doing that. So yeah, overall agencies, yeah, they're great. It's kind of like having a union for musicians. You're not going to get screwed over at the end of the night. They're going to make sure you get paid.
Sure.
Was there a situation or two back in the day where I could have booked a better job than them? Probably, but you take that risk of, I'm going to let someone drive the bus? Or how much of a control freak are you that you want to make sure every little turn is controlled by you, or that you're making your decisions based on that?
Sure. I mean, it's all ultimately, at the end of the day, choices, decisions, trade-offs, and whatever. Like, okay, this room is controlled by this agency, so if I want to be playing this place, I need to work with this agent, et cetera, so forth.
Right.
So gotta to move on to another topic, another fun story, because I just keep looking at this one on my notes.
Yeah.
Psycho Bettie at Flagstaff Halloween.
Oh my God, no!
Yes.
Oh no!
I love this story.
All right, I did a stint in Psycho Bettie for, I think, maybe a year and a half. I was in Psycho Bettie. I was brought in by Keith Collins, who was one of the original members. And at the time, that lineup was pretty cool. It was still Rich Hook, because Rich and John Marshall were like, you could compare them to like the Rolling Stones, like the Keith Richards and the don't get old. You're gonna blink out on names. Mick Jagger, yeah. Because I hate that guy. I can't stand him.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's just I don't know. It's good songs, but just to me, not a power singer. You know, there was way better singers from that era.
I don't think people like Mick Jagger because he was a great, like, I mean,
no, he was a good front man.
Yeah,
he was a good front man, but
he served the songs. But like, you don't listen to the Rolling Stones because you want like top quality musicianship. You know? it's like
now he just might be cutting up a classic. I don't know.
It's like no, like I saw the Stones like 2-3 months ago or whatever, and it's like they were great, but it's like, are they the tightest band in the world? No, I wouldn't really want them.
But you also saw them at the bottom of the hill of their career. You know, their time was the late 60s, dude. I mean, you're talking fucking 60 years ago. Okay. Nuts. Even for me to think about it. Wow, we definitely got off topic on this one. It might be kind of good, but, but yeah, like you have like the reason why I would like my 60s guys were like Steve Marriott and
Humble Pie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that guy actually auditioned for the Rolling Stones, but he wanted to play guitar.
Yeah.
And Keith told him, when you come to audition, don't sing, because he's obviously a better singer than Mick. So, you know, if you ever read the books about Steve Marriott or anything, he's like, fuck that. So he goes to the audition and starts singing, and Mick's like, no. Nope. So what about Shine, the lead singer? But back to the story, Flagstaff. I want to say Halloween of maybe 98 or 99. I don't know. Keith will jump in on this one and correct me. But the lineup was Rich Hook, John Marshall, Keith on drums, me on bass, and Todd Sterner on guitar. And, you know, obviously we were doing the Psycho Bettie thing. They were one of the first local bands to embrace alternative music. You know, like every band now is going out, you know, they're doing Eve 6 and they're doing whatever. Well, Psycho Bettie was the first band to actually cover all that stuff. Really out of my wheelhouse for me, because I came from Cool Daddy Groove, which introduced me to alternative music. But at the same time, I was more of a classic rock player. I was more of like a Doors, Led Zeppelin, you know, Grand Funk Railroad, Humble Pie, stuff like that. So I was really, you know, for me to play alternative music was definitely out of my wheelhouse. But at the time when I joined them up, I was decent enough to be in the band. But back to the story. Halloween night, Psycho Bettie played Flagstaff and Jim Thorpe. Always packed the place when they played there. It was one of my favorite gigs with that band, because you always knew that there was going to be a crowd there. And it wasn't because of Flagstaff. It was because of Psycho Bettie, because everybody loved John Marshall. Everybody loved the band. It was a good time. Everybody, you know, whatever. So one of the things was John Marshall and Rich Hook had a friend. They called him Big Tommy. I remember him because he's big. Dude was jacked. I think Hook owned a gym at the time, so this guy would go there. But they were friends for years. This guy was so big, he rolled in wearing a full Klan outfit. And who's going to say something to him? The guy was like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. Nobody's going to mess with him. But literally walked in, I'm up on stage and I look up at the front and it's literally like 1,000 feet away. And all I see is this like white robe rolling in with the it was nuts.
No.
Horrible. But anyway, back to it. So, you know, Marshall, you know, great guy, decent guy. We're up on stage playing. That night we were all dressed in lingerie. That was our costume. We're like, oh, we're all gonna wear lingerie. And so for some reason during one of the songs, some guy punched his girlfriend like on the floor in front of the stage. Now, if you've ever been in Flagstaff, the stage was at the back of the room, about 6 feet off the floor. Okay. John Marshall dives off this stage. It was almost like out of the movies, and just starts pummeling this guy, pounding on him because he hit his girl. And, you know, obviously the band stops. Everybody, you know, they break it up and everything. In the meantime, somebody got hit with a bottle or something. And we're like, okay, you know, everybody calm down, get back on stage, and we finish our night. So we're unloading. We're loading out. The Tony, the sound guy, he was like a little Italian guy, really funny. I love that guy. He would always be like, oh, guys, we got to go now. Let's load up. So they're all loading up. I go out to where Tony's out by the soundboard, and I'm sitting on a stool just waiting for him to do his thing. My ex-wife was sitting next to me, and all of a sudden this girl rolls up and like, "Where's John Marshall at?" And I'm like, "I think he's loading up some gear." I said, he's not here right now. I said, "What's up?" And she's like, "Well, he hit my boyfriend with a beer bottle." And I'm like, "No, he didn't. He punched some dude because he punched his girlfriend." And she's like, "No, he hit my boyfriend with a bottle." And I think she said something along the lines of like, "My uncle owns this place," or something. So she's giving me fucking attitude over that. And I'm like, "Bitch, calm the fuck down." I said, "You're fucking, your boyfriend didn't get hit by whatever." And this guy rolls out of nowhere, like just off to the side. I guess like he must have been either the boyfriend or her friend or whatever, because gonna defend her honor. And he's like, "Yo, I think you're a fucking pussy." And I looked at him and I'm like, I don't do the Schuylkill County thing. I don't do the shoving back and forth or "Oh, come on, let's fucking go," like bumping chests. Fuck that. I said, "Dude, you just better fucking go away before you do something you regret." And he goes, "Oh, really?" And he cocked back to fucking hit me. So as he's cocking back, I fucking pummeled him right in the face, broke his nose. You can see it split right across the nose. So as I'm punching him and he goes down, I catch his buddy out of the corner of my eye coming at me with a beer bottle.
Oh no.
And I'm like, "All right, here we go." So as I cock back, I step back a little bit because I'm gonna whale this fucking guy. And I fucking whaled him. He went down because he swung, and I ducked out of the way. And in the meantime, like, I'm thinking to myself, where is everybody? Like, here I'm fighting two guys and nobody's around. So I punch this guy and he goes down. Well, as he goes down, the other guy gets up and he's starting to come at me. So as he's coming at me, I step back and I'm gonna fucking whale him again. And I'm like, I fall. I'm like, what the fuck? I fell. I fell on my back. Like literally, tripped backwards on my back. And I'm like, did I trip over the stool? Did I run into my wife? What happened? No, it was this bitch. She fucking tripped me. As I was stepping backwards, she fucking put her leg out and tripped me, and I fell on my back. And she starts kicking me in the ribs, like to no end. She just wailing at me, like almost like just like kick it. And I'm just like in the fetal position, trying not to get kicked. She's jumping on my glasses because my glasses fell off. She's jumping up and down on them, crushing them. And this whole time, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by this chick. The guys are up on stage laughing at me. They're just losing their shit.
Just watching?
Just watching me get my ass kicked by this chick. And eventually, like as all this was going on, it wasn't like in series and steps, security guards are coming over. They're pulling people off and everything. And Tony is just losing it, laughing. They're just standing there. The guys are up on stage laughing. I'm like, what the fuck? But it was kind of funny because, not only did I get to kick two guys' asses, but I got my ass kicked by a chick. It was great.
And you're wearing lingerie the whole time.
No. It wasn't in lingerie. No, we had gotten dressed by that time. We're not going to load up the truck dressed in lingerie.
It would have been better.
It would have been better if it would have been in lingerie. No, but yeah, that was Marshall's idea. I'm not gonna take credit for that one. He was like, "We're wearing lingerie." I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, that was a good night because it was, there had to be 2,000 people in the place at least. And like I said, Flagstaff was always a good time. Side note, they're actually being remodeled. They're going to be opening up very soon. I'm kind of looking forward to what's going to happen. It's definitely going to be a wedding venue. My normal job, I should say, my day gig is I sell plumbing, heating, air conditioning. And one of my customers is actually doing the HVAC work for the building. So hey, what's going on? What's going on in there? Well, they're redoing the whole thing. It's going to be full kitchen. It's going to come back better than ever. The band house that used to be dilapidated and fallen down, they actually rebuilt that as kind of like a B&B. I've heard some stories about that house. I haven't experienced any of them, and I'm not inclined to repeat them because they're not my stories. But always a good time in Flagstaff. I kind of hope that it comes roaring back because it'd be nice to play somewhere else other than Penn's Peak.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, I like Penn's Peak, but to have that old glory come back of.
So something that I, about Flagstaff, something I don't tell many people, and I don't really know why I'm saying on this podcast. But when I was younger, it's like my dad is like really obsessed with like Russian, Ukrainian sort of culture and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was younger, probably like 4, 5, 6, whatever, he would drive me up to Flagstaff like every weekend or whatever. And it would take me to Ukrainian dance camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just get all these lessons and wear these stupid outfits. And
so they had Ukrainian dancing at Flagstaff.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is great.
My dad, he would have to bribe me. Like we would stop at Dunkin' Donuts on the way there, and he would buy me a donut. That'd be my way of not just like kicking and screaming to get out of there.
Oh my God, that's great. But I bet you dance like a fiend, though.
Oh, I'm horrible at dancing.
Oh, but that's good. But yeah, like I said, that's like I said, just the small stuff like that. Like people don't think about that because everybody's gone. Everybody's at home, either sleeping it off or hanging out with the chick they picked up or whatever. But there's always like fun stories in the background of anything you do.
That's the idea of the show.
That's the idea of the show, number one. And number two, it's just part of the lifestyle. I mean, musicians in general are a fun bunch, and you have to have a certain attitude to do it. And you can be a dick about it, you can be blasé about it, you can be whatever. But I live to play and I live to have fun, and hopefully everybody else has fun too. But
you ever remember any other fights breaking out at shows?
Let me think.
Like I told an episode on, I told a story in episode 1 about a fight breaking out almost between like the band I was filling in with, like the singer and the drummer.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I want to play this next song. No, we got to skip it, and then just
start going in at it. I've never had in or out fights like that. I've never there was, because I'm trying to stick to the premise of something that I experienced, not that I've heard.
I mean, if there's a good story, you can tell it.
Okay, here's another one. Psycho Bettie.
All right.
There used to be a place in Gratz, PA called the Fuzzy Bunny.
Oh, I was hoping you would tell this story.
So I think it's a pizza place in like apartment buildings or something. But at the time, it was a pretty big dance hall. It was right on, like, I think the main square. If I remember, there was a clock there on the road or whatnot. But they played there like all the time. This is my first time there with them. And Hook was like, yeah, you're going to like this place. It's pretty funny. I said, why? He goes, because the Amish people, when their kids are on Rumspringa, they come out to the Fuzzy Bunny to see the band. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. He's like, no. He goes, you're going to wait and see. There's going to be, the trucks parked out back once everything's loaded in. And, you go out there and there's 100 buggies outside. He goes, you're gonna lose it, because all these Amish kids just show up and they drink and they're having a good time, whether they're, I guess, 16 or 18 or 21. I don't know what I wasn't. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm not. He's telling me fibs. And so we get set up and we're on stage and we're playing, and fucking sure as shit, all these fucking Amish kids are in this place and they're all gathered in the middle. And there's girls and there's guys and they're just having a great time. And I'm like, I looked over at Rich Hook and I'm like, you weren't kidding me. He goes, no, it's funny. But what I found even funnier is we were doing Lit Up by Buck Cherry.
Yep.
And these fucking Amish kids are devil horns in the air singing, I love the cocaine. I love the cocaine. it was just the weirdest, like almost like just off kilter thing I've ever seen. Not believable, but it's just funny to see a whole bunch of Amish people with devil horns in the air, jamming out to the band. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've not a lot of stories, but good ones.
Those are some pretty good stories.
Good ones. Yeah. So, the tradition continues. I try and I've been recently told, maybe you should keep Romper Room to a minimum, but I just like to have fun when I'm playing music and I'm out. And I was always outgoing. I was always boisterous. I was always loud. I was always, I get told I have Tourette's because I yell Freebird all the time when I'm out seeing other bands. But
it's like that meme that's been going around where they say, get out there, support live music. walk up to the singer and tell him he sucks. Yell Freebird after every song. Fight the band in the parking lot after the show.
Absolutely. But once again, that goes back, that rolls back to me, in my opinion, just interaction with the band. Like you have to put on a persona of being on a certain level. But me personally, I believe being humble and being real is more important than that. And I struggle to find the balance between that, because I want to be myself, but I also want to be the professional, and I want to be the person that's called upon to do the job.
I get that.
So yeah, but at the same time, it's like, that's where all these stories come from, is having fun. It's not just always it's always the chance encounters that you don't think of and how you react to them.
Sure.
So
something I try describing like other musicians, especially like musicians just starting out, teenagers, whatever. When you're playing with a band for so long that in a way you can kind of like play some of the songs in your sleep. I like that, because then anyone who's played with me knows that I can be a little bit chaotic. Like I'll walk over to someone, like start messing with their tuning pegs in the middle of the song and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And like,
but to me, like in your situation, that's what you want, because people want to see that.
Oh, sure.
People want to see the band having fun, because if they're having fun, that means you're having fun. Interaction with the people is huge. Like if you can play a place and get out on the bar. Oh, that reminds me of another story. I was playing with a band, once again with Keith Collins. We were called Bad Monkey. That was a couple years ago, but these guys had shows booked in the casinos, which they booked them on their own. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't have to go through an agency. Like a lot of times you got to go through an agency to get into the casinos. They're very strict, very tight. Not a good formula for me, because I like to do shit.
Sure.
And so we were playing Bar Louie up in Mohegan. And if you've ever played Bar Louie, the stage is behind the bar.
Yes.
And it's only like 3 feet away from the tip of the stage. So like the bar and the stage are almost level. And I've always played with wireless. So because to me, that's ultimate freedom to just dick around and have fun. And fucking instantly, I'm up on the stage and I'm like, oh, I'm getting on that fucking bar tonight. And well, that's a big no-no, apparently. So we didn't get asked back after. But they didn't tell me that we didn't get, like, why are we playing Bar Louie anymore? And they're like, don't worry about it, DeLowery. It's okay. And it's like, no, apparently me getting out on the bar kiboshed the band.
Like it's strange, like when venues have just strange rules they don't tell you about. Like we play the Hard Rock and AC every now and then. And I found out, because like we got yelled at afterward. Well, band leader got yelled at.
Yeah.
Apparently, while you're playing, you're not allowed to leave the stage. If you have a wireless, you're not allowed to wireless microphones. The girls, they always go out into the crowd and like get people up and dancing or whatever. Yeah. But apparently, we're not allowed to do that there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it has to do with a security thing too.
Probably
because you're in a house of money.
I get it. Like I get it. It's probably like an insurance thing and everything like that.
Not just that though, but like I know like I've never personally played Hollywood Casino. But I've heard stories where, you obviously you can't drink on stage. When you take your break, if you take a break, you have to be in a certain spot and you can't leave that spot. If you do have to leave, you got to be escorted by security. And once again,
it's strange.
I don't think it's strange because of people. I think it's strange because of, once again, the house of money.
Yeah.
You got millions and millions of dollars flowing through a place and they don't want just some random musician asshole fucking skirting the halls.
Makes sense.
But Bar Louie, oh my god, the floor is so greasy because you'd have to load in onto the stage through the kitchen, and you would just come from the hallway carrying your amp, and then you hit that floor. And I think I went down once or twice. And then it's like you make the mistake of wearing what you're going to be wearing on stage, and now you got kitchen grease all over it. Horrible. But that was a fun gig though, because once again, built-in crowd. What was it? What was the club across from that called? Was it Breakers?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that Breakers? Yeah, I think that's still there actually.
Yes.
Because I don't think Bar Louie is. I think it's called something else now, but I don't know. But yeah, so it's a couple of my stories. There's probably one or two minor ones or major ones that I'm forgetting about, but it's what happens when you're a 50-year-old musician.
It happens.
You have a tendency to.
So before we wrap things up, obviously you've I've had you work on a few of my guitars and basses before.
Yes, I got to see
So
this
I'm
thing.
driving from, it's Saturday. We're driving up. I was playing with the Kobe Reese band. We played in Leesburg, Virginia. So we're driving up because we're playing Atlantic City the next night. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace just passing time.
Perfect.
I like looking for instruments and whatever. And I see this cool, I think, Westone bass from the 80s.
Right.
It's then like a flying V kind of shape.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
I
send you a message about it. I'm like, hey, is this thing decent?
Well,
You say,
actually, I think you threw it out to the group.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug here.
Go ahead.
Every month we have what I call the Bass Brothers Breakfast. Me and 3 other players, Troy Moser, Bill Adams, and Gabe Fritz. We started the idea of getting together once a month just to chit chat and have breakfast, and it's grown into a pretty good group. But we have a group chat besides the page where we see stuff for sale, or we see, other stuff going on, or, hey, sorry that, we heard there was a passing in the family. It's really a community.
Yeah.
But you threw this out there.
I see this bass and I say, oh, is West Tone any decent?
Is West Tone any good?
Yeah. So John says, sure. I send the guy a message. I managed to talk him down about $100.
No.
So I'm like, hey, all right, I'm going to go pick it up. So I'm driving, and all of a sudden I get a message from the guy. He says, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Bass isn't available anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? So he says, well, I had it outside and my wife ran it over. I'm like,
no.
What? I'm like, seriously?
No,
what?
she did
So
it.
he says, if you want to come pick it up, you can, but the headstock's destroyed.
Oh my God. No. 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 Oh my God, dude, she ran it over.
She ran it over.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, he said, if you want it, you can have it for free. And I'm like, well, I'm already driving. May as well pick it up. But it's like, what?
Dude. Oh. Oh. No. Let me get this out of here. Oh my God. No. No. Oh, that was the sound of the headstock hitting the floor because it's still attached to the strings, which, oh, these are flat wounds on this. Wow. Holy shit, dude. Look at this bass. Oh, you know what? This is almost like.
So I'm trying to figure out if this is at all salvageable.
It absolutely is. And here's the reason why is there, once again, I don't like the name drop, but there's a guy from Mechanicsburg. His name's Greg Platzer. He is like the ultimate luthier, in my opinion. He works for a lot of famous people that I've seen online. He posts a lot of shit. Matter of fact, he was hanging out with ZZ Top last night.
Yes.
Down at there.
Music Fest, right?
At Music Fest, absolutely. But, see, people who can't see this, I'm actually holding the headstock in my hands. It's snapped totally off the bass. But here's the thing is, it's a clean break. It really is. I've done one repair, like I mentioned earlier, on the EBO, the 68. That was a total headstock graft. I actually, it's like this. I came down halfway through the neck, cut it out, used mahogany, and regrafted on the original headstock. Oh man, look at this.
Burnside, not Westone. That's who it is.
Burnside, yeah. Burnside was made by Guild.
Yes.
Guild was made in New Jersey. Everybody knows like the Guild Starfire bass or the Jet Star or the Sheryl Crow plays the M85. But this was like in the 80s, this was their
It's supposed to be like a Randy Rhoads Jackson sort of thing.
Yes. And Burnside was kind of like their Epiphone to the Gibson.
Yeah.
So it once again, decent bass. Fuck. She bitch ran it over.
She ran it over.
It's called the Lance.
Yep.
By Guild. Oh my God.
Kind of hard to find online.
Dude, we need to fix this.
We're going to.
Now, the first thing I thought, my initial thing was it snapped right above the nut. We can make this a headless bass.
I was thinking that too.
I was thinking we can do a headless headstock on this. We route out for the bridge on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Or what you do is you let me, because I need to practice, because I'm currently doing a repair for a customer. He brought me an Eddie Van Halen where the trem studs actually snapped through the wood.
Ugh.
And Greg Platzer was kind enough. I call up Craig. I'm like, Craig, I don't know if I really want to do this repair. I said, because it's a decent guitar. It's a Mexican, but the guy paid like $3,000 for it.
What?
It was $2,000 or $3,000 you pay for it, because he waited like, this is 2 or 3 years ago, I think he bought it. And he waited like a year for it. Like they were special order. Like you couldn't find them anywhere. So the music store he bought it at, he literally played it once or twice. He kept it in the case because he was like, you know, I play, but I don't play a lot. And he goes, this is the one guitar where I played it once and put it away because I didn't want to really. So it's been fucking broke since he bought it. He just didn't even know it. Because if you think about it, the finish is cracked.
Yeah.
Because it's an Eddie Van Halen guitar. So he didn't realize it. He goes, it keeps going out of tune. I don't know why it keeps going out of tune. So I put it on the bench. I start stripping down the Floyd Rose. And I'm looking at the trem posts, and I'm like, the fucking wood snapped out on this. No wonder why it keeps going out of tune. Because it keeps pushing out of the spot where it's supposed to be. So I call up Greg, and I mean, Greg, I don't really feel comfortable, you know, because of he goes, don't be uncomfortable. He goes, tackle it. He goes, I'm booked for a year and a half. Damn. I thought I had shit. Like I still got stuff here from like Jim Heller from like 2 fucking years ago that I got to work on because I do emergency work for setups. I obviously take care of the bass brothers first. Shit comes up, and I always tell people, I'm always honest. I don't do this for a living. Where Platzer does it, you know, that's his gig. And I don't do it for a living, but I try and put the time into it. But holy fuck, this is fucked. But I after, you know, was this repaired before? Unless it's the way they. Oh, okay, I see it. There's dowels in here. See, like one there. There's a dowel. There's a dowel there. There's a dowel there. What they did was before they shaped the head, they pushed the wood together and then they shaped the head out.
Interesting.
So look, see there's the dowel hole there. There's part of the dowel there. So they laminated the wood to make the headstock. I can salvage this. Anyway, he told me how he would do it. He goes, this is what I would do. And I'm not going to say it, but he goes, this is how I would do it. And I said, perfect. I had a Les Paul bass. You know, you want to talk about stories. I was going to kill this fucking kid. Doing it was Booby Bash last year.
But Booby Bash.
Booby Bash.
Great festival name.
It's for breast cancer.
Yeah.
So it's out of York. Great time. I was very honored to play it. Ray Geet, our drummer, is from down that way, so it was kind of like an opportunity to give back to that community for him. And I had my Les Paul bass on a stand, and I'm obviously the bands switch out. You know, if you've played it before, where you've played with multiple bands, you only have a couple of minutes to get your shit off stage, and so this band that's coming on after us, I guess, couldn't fucking wait to get their shit on stage. So they start bringing all their shit up.
While you're playing?
While we're breaking down.
Oh, okay.
So my bass is on. Nope, that's the screw. Don't lose that. I don't know if you heard that. It might come through the microphone. There we go. But oh, dude, we're gonna do something with this though. So did he give it to you, or did you have to pay him the $100?
No, that was free.
It was free.
Yep.
Perfect. That's even better. Look, I'll be honest with you. He said she ran it over with the car. I think he dropped it.
Also possible.
I think he dropped it because, like, if this was in a gig bag and it was ran over by a car, there'd be a lot more damage than just to the headstock.
Sure. Anyways, so you're loading your gear.
Loading our gear, and we're trying to get our stuff off stage as quick as possible. And I'm facing Ray, facing the drums, which means my bass is behind me. And the next thing I know is I hear, I'll use this as an example. I hear that because it's a concrete stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And I turn around and there's my bass laying on its face on the concrete. And the kid that was playing guitar for this band was standing next to it. And he's like, I was like that when I came up here. And the kid fucking ghost white. So you know he fucking knocked it over.
Yeah. And
I'm like, we're at a benefit. I'm not going to, look, I'm the kind of guy where like, look, shit happens. I get it. The damage wasn't that bad. Was I pissed? Absolutely, I was pissed. But I'm like, you know what? What's this kid going to do about it? I can't beat it out of him because he's a kid. And so I just fucking, but it's like, just fucking, So I said to Platzer, can you work on my Les Paul? He's like, I'm too busy. Okay, great. How do I do it? So he goes, the way he explained that repair for the EVH to me is the same way I'm going to repair my Les Paul, which is I'm going to do this. We're going to give it a shot. And we're going to try it, and we'll try and put it back together because it is literally a clean break. You know what? Maybe she did fucking run it over because the way it's like snapped off right at the fucking. I think he dropped it. Either way, you got a free bass.
Yeah.
fucking cool as fuck. You have to like take some pictures and put it up with the podcast.
Will do.
That's what we're here. Take a picture now. If I don't know if you can do that with your phone while it's running.
One way to find out.
We're gonna find out. But yeah, no, I once again I accept the challenge, man. I think that'd be a cool little, like honestly, like those basses, you don't see too many of them. And even though it's a cheapy guitar, I have Squire stuff that I've worked on and rebuilt that probably sounds better than American shop stuff.
Sure.
You know, and once again, you make it your own. So yeah, we'll fix the headstock. We'll see if it holds. If it holds, great. If not, headless.
That'll be cool. Because what's the name from Venom? Kronos. He has like some sort of like crazy headless bass.
Yep, absolutely. Well, obviously Steinberger's from the 80s, but yeah, that'll be a cool little thing.
Hell yeah!
No wonder why you wanted to wait to show me it. My shock. So, but yeah, man. Back to the stories thing. You know, everybody's gonna have one. And just pick your next prey. Get some good ones.
Well, again, hey, thanks a million for being on the show. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the stories. And,
dude, not a problem. I appreciate you thinking of me. And, you know, like I said, it's just experience. And if you're listening and you have a story, reach out because it's funny to tell. But and it's even funnier if you can, you know, have a few beers with your friends because everybody just loses it. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It's a cool thing you're doing.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Gig Nightmares. Gig Nightmares is an independently produced podcast made possible by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate if you left a rating and a review for us. Gig Nightmares.